I really didn't think Ubisoft would outperform Sony this year. I'm really shocked. How's it going, guys? My name is Luis and I just got done watching the PlayStation E3 press conference and it was pretty mediocre, pretty alright. I feel like it was on par with the Microsoft conference. I wasn't really disappointed nor super impressed with either one of them. But before we jump into the press conference recap, they actually made a few announcements during their pre-show, so I'm just going to try to knock those out of the way before we jump into the actual recap. Undertale is getting a physical release on PS4 and PlayStation Vita. Surprisingly, it's also getting a physical copy on PC if you want to pick up that collector's edition. Ni no Kuni is getting a release date. It is now coming out on November 10th. That's pretty cool, something to look forward to. PlayLink got announced for PlayStation, which is essentially just interaction between your smartphone and your PlayStation 4 that allows you to sort of give inputs with your smartphone to the PS4, sort of in party games in that situation. Knack 2 also got a release date that is coming out pretty soon on September 5th, and GT Sport is coming out sometime in 2017. I don't know why that doesn't have a release date yet, but it's sometime in 2017. Now with those announcements out of the way, let's jump into the actual conference recap. The show started off with Uncharted Lost Legacy that is coming out on August 22nd, and we got a brand new gameplay trailer showing off different locations, so we're not just stuck in that city that we showed off back in December for PSX. It shows much more varied locations out there, pretty much on par with Uncharted 4, so that I'm pretty happy about. That is coming out later this year on August 22nd. Horizon Zero Dawn is getting some brand new DLC. It's standalone content, so if you want some more information on that story, it's called The Frozen Wilds and it's coming out later this year. No release date specifically, just 2017. Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the best games that came out this year so far, and it's one of those higher end exclusives on PS4, so I'm happy that it's getting more content this year. Days Gone also got a brand new demonstration, and I have to say this demonstration is much better than what they showed off last time. Last time it sort of felt more like a tech demo. In this new demonstration we got some actual gameplay that sort of showed off a better visualization of what literal gameplay will be like in this game. And it looks pretty darn cool. It sort of feels like Tomb Raider meets The Last of Us in a way, and I pretty much dig it. But just like the previous Horizon DLC, no release date just yet. After Days Gone, we got an interesting third-party reveal called Monster Hunter World. It is a brand new Monster Hunter game, not just coming to PS4, it's also coming to Xbox One, and later on after that, it's also coming to PC. But at first, the audience was sort of surprised by it because it just doesn't look like the modernized Monster Hunter games you would see on something like the 3DS and the Switch. It looks so much better, although be it straight up still a Monster Hunter game. So if you're into that series, you can expect that later next year. Now this next game announcement was pretty much the big surprise from Sony at this conference. It's a remaster, not even a remaster, a complete remake of Shadow of the Colossus for PlayStation 4. Built from the ground up, it is a complete modernization of that classic PS2 game. So it's not just up-res anymore. This game is just straight up called Shadow of the Colossus, no remake or remaster anywhere in the name, but it's coming out next year, and hopefully we're also going to get some of those new Colossus that were supposed to be in the original game but were taken out due to technical limitations. Hopefully we'll see them be brought back now on PS4. Fingers crossed. We also got a brand new trailer for the story mode in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and I have to say, this trailer actually shows off that this game has a pretty in-depth story for a fighting game, so I appreciate that. What's even a cooler note is the fact that they actually have a demo out on PSN, so if you have a PS4 and you want to try it out, you can download the demo right now. Oh yeah, and Dante and Rocket Raccoon switch guns. That was pretty darn badass to say the least. The next gameplay trailer was for Call of Duty World War II. I'm not super into the Call of Duty series, but I'm definitely a fan of the setting and the history. So the fact that they're actually revisiting this time era, it looks really promising. I'm definitely invested into it. I'm not super big on the Call of Duty series, but this is one I'm definitely going to take a look at. Now the next few game announcements were pretty surprising, not because they're outstanding or masterpieces, but because they're just PlayStation VR games. There was a really big focus on PSVR during this E3 press conference, and I guess from Sony's standpoint, once you sell 1 million units, you probably need to provide some games for that platform, so this is probably what that was about, and what it felt like at least. Skyrim VR that was shown off yesterday during Bethesda's conference is now coming to PlayStation VR, and it looks pretty much like a PlayStation VR game would look like. Looks pretty promising, some motion controls in there, but one of the more accessible ways to get into Skyrim VR. We also got a third-person adventure game called Starchild VR, and a new game called Impatient VR, also from Sony, and it pretty much looks like a very story-driven game taking place in an asylum or mental hospital. It looks interesting to say the least. Monsters of the Deep Final Fantasy 15 VR got announced. That was probably the most bizarre VR game announced during this compilation of trailers, but that's happening. I don't know why we haven't got a big fishing adventure game on VR. I want that to happen. Where the hell is that trailer? The next two game announcements were also VR games, Bravo Team and Moss from Polyarc. Like I said, just an overall a big showing for VR games, and it was pretty surprising because it took up a lot of time out of the conference, to be honest. Something that I kind of felt uneasy about just getting into it. After the whole VR showcase, we got a look at Destiny 2, which is also getting exclusive content on PlayStation first ahead of Xbox and PC. So if you really are into Destiny, you might want to jump on the PlayStation bandwagon just if you're super interested in that extra content. Otherwise, it's also coming to Xbox One and PC. It's just, you know, coming to PlayStation first. Now the next 3 game showcases were games that were probably the biggest ones at the conference outside the Shadow of the Colossus, the first one being God of War. We got a longer demo / gameplay trailer for God of War, and I feel at this point if you took a shot every time Kratos says the word boy, you'd probably kill yourself of alcohol poisoning at this point. But jokes aside, this game looks pretty darn freaking awesome. I'm really excited to get my hands on it, and I just really like that father and son chemistry between Kratos and the little boy. Take a shot. But in general, I'm just really excited to play the rest of this game. From what I've seen so far this year and last year, it looks like it's going to be one of my favorite games on PS4. And seeing as I wasn't super into the previous trilogy or the previous series of God of War games, this one really catches my attention. The next game that was showing off was some gameplay of Detroit Become Human, which surprisingly still does not have a release date. How the hell does this game not have a release date at this point? We saw some gameplay of a third-person shot, so it's not just dialogue at this point like the previous demo, and we actually got a different point of view from the robots that are revolting against the whole human organization. In the previous trailer, we saw the robots that are working as police officers or investigators. In this new point of view, we actually see as the revolutionaries or the people revolting against pretty much society. Overall, Detroit Become Human is looking to be one of the more promising games coming to PS4. I'm definitely hyped for it. I'm super into this North character. I definitely dig her aesthetic and her character. She seems really cool. I just feel like we should have gotten a release date at this point. I feel like we've known too long about this game, and really just, where the hell is the release date? Not even the 2017 or 2018 game, just no mention of it at all. Now the last game that was shown off was some gameplay of Spider-Man, literally just called Spider-Man, and it's coming out in 2018, not this year, which quite honestly it's something I expected at this point. I'm not really mad about that. The gameplay looked really solid though. If I'm gonna be honest, it pretty much looks like an Arkham Asylum game with Spider-Man in it. It looks pretty darn badass. That's generally what I wanted. It looks like if Rocksteady got their hands on Spider-Man, this would be that game, and I'm pretty happy about it. I will say this though, the gameplay demo, although it looked very promising and I generally like the gameplay, there was a lot of quick time events, but I also feel like this particular gameplay demo was a very vertical slice in the game. It felt very staged in a way, so I feel like that's where that came from. I'm more excited to see more of the open world sections though, and just exploration going from mission to mission. That's the thing that generally really interests me, and from the gameplay that we saw, it looks like that's going to be a thing just based on how big the world is. That's what really excites me. And that was pretty much everything Sony had to offer at their press conference. I feel it was pretty mediocre, to be honest. I wasn't super impressed by it. I wasn't super let down by it. I feel like after having so many great conferences in the past 2 years that either they set the bar too high this year or we just expected to see more and we didn't get to see more. I was actually very surprised to see just how much third-party content was there and how much VR content was there. That was very surprising. There's things that were completely missing. Where the hell is Sucker Punch? We didn't get any releases for any of the major games that we thought we were gonna get. Where the hell is Dreams? Whatever happened to that game? Is that even in development anymore? It was all very surprising. Pretty mediocre, to be honest. I wasn't super happy about it. I wasn't super disappointed by it. It was just okay. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the conference in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the recap, give it a like, subscribe for more content like this. I'll be on the show floor starting tomorrow, so let me know if there's any games you want me to cover that are actually playable at E3, and I'll try my best to do so. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.